Welcome to Shakeshero. This is Chloe, and this is part 2 of our episode on Titus. So if you haven't listened to the first part, go check that out first, and I hope you enjoy part 2.
Yeah, they all say they want revenge, and then the plot moves forward.
Yeah.
Then we get Aaron, who is still plotting, and Titus does not know that he's against him. He knew that he said that his sons killed Boston Market, but he's not. He thought that was in earnest, and he's not like faulting him for it. And he's still like, he doesn't think he's a liar specifically.
Yeah, he just thinks he's a servant to the queen.
Exactly. So, and what he comes and tells him is that, okay, your sons haven't been killed yet, but the queen, she's like, she'll take one of your hands in repayment for both your sons' lives. Mm-hmm. And Anthony Hopkins is like, fucking, of course.
Duh.
Obviously, easy trade.
Yeah.
And they have this, and so that's like a huge suspense moment. And we know he's a plotter, and I don't think we quite know he's lying yet.
No, we don't. Because he just walks in and is like, give me your hand.
He's like, yo, Queen's like, but he believes the Queen would make this trade because he knows that the Queen hates him.
Yeah.
And so Titus is like, oh, she does hate me, but little does she know, I'm a soldier. I'll fucking cut off my hand for my sons' lives.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm it's still fucked up towards them.
I'm fucking 60 years old, and my fighting days are done. If I need to be, my sons' lives, I want them. And he also, I imagine that guilt and that ability to have redemption is just like swelling back. And he's like, easy. And so he also seems a little unhinged at this moment.
And part of it too is like they just created a new rule for him. Like that's a rule.
Yeah.
If it's a trade.
Yeah.
If I give you my hand, we'll give you the son.
He believes in the sacredness of somebody's word. Mm-hmm. Because his word's good. He thinks everybody's word's good. Mm-hmm. It's very soldier-like of him. Mm-hmm. Oh. It's like people can deceive it. He wouldn't just directly lie to me. So anyway, so he doesn't even consider it. And he just like, go. And I love...
And it's a fucked up thing, too.
It's fucked up, yeah. But he's just like, he believes it's fucked up, but I'm saying, like, to him it fits. The Queen would do this to me.
Exactly.
So, like, he has no reason to disbelieve it in his mind. And I love the directorial choices in this scene because we understand what's happening and he understands. He seems unhinged and we're like, is he really going to do it? And then he like goes on this long walk and then we're following them in this like super fast paced walk and the tension is just building as he goes from room to room and we're like, where's he going? And he's like, oh, it's also great because there's a lot of lines to deliver here. And I imagine that some production might just like have him stand in one place and give the lines. Mm-hmm. But he's walking the entire time and is walking faster and faster, which is giving these lines more tension and the scene more momentum.
Because the intention is let's go.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Let's do it. And it is making me tense and like we're feeling it. And then Chloe just like immediately got excited because she knew where it was how it to happen. So it turns out they were walking and to find the kitchen. Because that's where all the knives are. Of course. So amazing choice.
So messed up. So good.
And it's like, and he's going, and then like he tells the chef that's in there, he's like, get the fuck out of here. And like, and the chef like leaves, and he finds a cleaver, and he like puts his hand there, and without blinking an eye, fucking chops his own hand off, and is just like, here you go, go get my fucking sons, And then Aaron is like, gladly, and he leaves with the hand in like a fucking plastic baggie. And he's like, and he leaves the place where they were, and then it goes to another fourth wall break, and Aaron's like, I did it. And then the zany jazz starts again, and it's like an Ocean's 11 scene where he's explaining how he did the heist. And it's fucking hilarious.
Yes.
It's great.
And he hangs the hand on his mirror like a little lucky rabbit foot. In the little plastic bag.
He's like, I did it. This is how I robbed the Bellagio. We like first we jumped in there, then I buried the gold, and it all went off without a hitch. I'm fucking Brad Pitt. I'm George Clooney. We did it. Like that's what happened. And again, we recognize it. It's a thing, and it describes his attitude. He's like he's flying on cloud 9. He did it, and it almost doesn't matter that the stark like genre change right there. Yeah. I don't even know how to describe it, but
no, I love it.
It's great. Like,
because it makes sense for the characters.
And the movie's been surreal enough this whole time that we buy that as long as I understand what's going on and because the message is so clear. It was a great choice. Again, very across the universe.
Yes.
Like I see so much of what she ended up doing across the universe in the things that she did before, and I just love these choices. They're so great. They're so unique. Yeah. It gives the movie identity. Mm-hmm. Julie.
Man, I want to like It's exciting too, because I want to imagine what she'd do with any Shakespeare play, but also if I take the principles that she's using in this and apply them to different Shakespeare plays, like one of the jokes in Hamlet that we've talked about is Polonius presenting the plays, and he's like, oh, they can do anything, like pastoral, comical, tragical, pastoral, tragical, comical. And part of that is a joke in general, but part of it is Shakespeare poking fun of it at himself and being like, you combine genres all the time, which I'm sure is a note he got from everybody. He's like, they're like, well, which one is your play?
Yeah.
Like, give us a, what's the Hollywood thing? Give us a
elevator pitch?
Yeah, give us an elevator pitch or a log line.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's kind of a pastoral, comical, tragical. And they're like, shut up, Shakespeare, you hipster.
So many great granular or gradient changes in so many divisions of each that it doesn't even have a genre anymore. It's just like whatever it is.
But that's what life is like. And I think sometimes it can turn into gray if you're not careful, or it can all like, go in a comedic direction if you're not careful with like things that shouldn't be funny, or it can all go in a tragic direction and nothing's funny and then the audience hates you. Mm-hmm. So I love that Shakespeare does that, and I think that if you can lean into it like Julie Taymor does and go, it's just the whiplash of normal life. It's like, oh, this is really dramatic, we're gonna cut off your hand. I got the hand! Like, especially because we're kind of shifting who we're following. So if we're following Aaron, he's feeling like, I'm on cloud 9. Like, if we're with Titus, he's like, this fucking sucks. Isn't it hilarious how much this fucking sucks? Because I don't know what else to do with this other than laugh at it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway, that's what I wanted to ping. I just love this movie.
Yeah, and if nothing else, it was entertaining.
Absolutely.
Like, so I may have missed a lot of some of that nuance. I follow it for most of it, but I mean, sometimes I feel like you get all the like this thing with symbolism, and I just thought it happened. Mm-hmm. But the fact that if you can do that and just make it entertaining, it will be seamless and it won't skip a beat. I
mean, the thing you said about what Titus says about death in the beginning, totally missed that. Like, now that you've said it, I'm like, oh, I remember that in other productions, or I remember that from reading it. But it didn't like ping for me as much in this. He says that about 3 times in the movie, and then what he does at the end. I remember it later.
I feel it brings it home.
Yeah, I remember him like talking about it later, but I don't remember that in the beginning, which is really interesting for me, like looking back. But I think it's.
What can I say? I'm just a Shakespeare scholar.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Is like we pick up different things every time we watch it. So I think that's why I was being like, earlier when you're like, I don't always get the language. I just think, if the shell, at least, not the shell, that's a terrible word for it. If the drive of it at least is there, like if we see Aaron getting in the car and being like, later, losers, like we can get that. And if we're like tuned in specifically enough, we can hear what he's saying and like the intricacy of that. But I think, like, it's the difference between active and passive listenability. And I think even as you're watching something, sometimes you can really hone in on everything that's going on. And sometimes you're just like, I'm just enjoying this and letting it hit me like a wave.
Honestly, that's basically what I was saying, is that if at least it's entertaining, so at least it can be passive even if you miss certain points.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has different points within a 3-hour window that they tune in more acutely and out more
But
acutely.
honestly, I like this movie.
Less acutely.
It had me like it was a short movie. Like I never felt fatigue from watching this movie at all.
Dude, I felt like that with a couple stage versions of Titus. It's like it drives.
Yeah.
If you let it drive, it'll drive you into your grave.
Okay. So now he's given the hand to Aaron, thinking that he's going to get his sons back. And then they have, like, I think a little conversation, but, like, the next scene... Go ahead. Wait,
before this happens, I just want to say one more thing. So at this point, there is one more little scene, if you're going to go right to the thing with the hand.
Go ahead.
So what happens next is... And this, to me, is another interesting moment of Marcus. So Titus and Lavinia have a moment where they're just sad and they're just fucking angry, and he's screaming, and like, he's just like, he's so upset, and so is she. Like she can't talk, but she's clearly upset. Mm-hmm. And they're just mourning together. And Marcus goes like, hey, calm yourself, center yourself. We got to get revenge. Like, don't be so like upset. Like, this is a lot. Like, just calm down, basically. Calm down is his message. And and Titus goes,
because of what happens next.
Right. And Titus goes, like, what do you mean calm down? Because at this point, Titus has reached his threshold. Like, he's done. He's had it with
not
everyone.
his threshold like line for now. It's like fuck it. It's like he's reached his emotional threshold of what he can like handle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of, it doesn't coincide with his line, but it definitely, like, once he's over the line, then he's heading for that threshold of emotion, what he can handle
Things
emotionally.
keep getting taken away, and he just never accommodated for that. It might all happen, especially might not all happen this way.
Yes.
It's like if you had a sibling die, that may be terrible, but if your sibling was killed by your parent, then it'd be like 1,000 times more terrible.
And then your parents kill each other.
Exactly. Like that's what's happening to him. Yeah.
Exactly. So he's like, he's just mourning, and Marcus is like, hey, calm down, stop freaking out. And he's like, you don't understand. Like, this is beyond what I can handle. This is like, and he's also making some really good points about grief. And Shakespeare does this in a lot of his plays, but I really like the way he does it here, because Marcus is saying like what you're doing is out of proportion. What you're doing is ridiculous. And Titus is going like, I can't remember the exact analogies, but they're all about nature, and they're all about like, you know, if
like if the storm like ravages the ocean, do the waves not rise? I love that line. I love that line.
Exactly.
And I turned to you and I was like, with every action is equal opposite reaction. Like that's basically that's basically what he's saying. If there's a huge force, there's going to be a huge consequence.
Humans are a part of nature.
And right now, I'm the consequence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like what they've done.
I love that speech.
Is affecting me, and there's no way.
I don't know the language. I don't know.
No, you do.
I'm kidding.
That's exactly
I'm
it.
joking.
There's no way it cannot affect you. And
Anthony Hopkins crushed it.
He really did. Oh God, I just want to hug him. I just want to hug everyone that was a part of this and just look in their eyes and say, "You did it." Oh God, this was so cathartic for me. But yeah, I feel like that scene to me is one of the most important in the movie, and it's super.
I agree. It's hard to pick them because all of them feel important, and I feel like when something's that good, they do feel all important.
Yeah.
So anyway, they have that. You know, that is important to ping because it's an important irony for what happens next.
Yes.
Because Marcus is like, yo, chill, and then he's like, no, I'm fucking. This is happen. Like I'm gonna go fucking crazy on these motherfuckers. But at this point, he still thinks he's getting his sons back. Mm-hmm. And then something fucking bonkers happens. And the zany jazz comes back. A truck pulls up, and it's like again, like all the sets are very ancient Rome right now.
Yeah.
And then like a literal van pulls up, and it's like carnival music playing.
Yeah.
And a guy jumps out and is like, and it's like this, and it's the same guy who picked up the little boy at the beginning of the movie.
Yes, I'm glad you noticed that.
And it was just like, and he's just like, I'm doing my job, and a little redheaded girl like this, like they feel like dirty carnies.
Yeah.
And they park their van, it feels like that. And then they open up the back of the van, and it is the two sons in heads encased in water, like the heads of the future dead people in Futurama. And they
I don't know that reference, but I believe it.
In Futurama, it takes place in the future, and it's the comedy made by Matt Groening from
I know
Simpsons.
it, yeah.
And
I know of it.
And so they'll be like like Bill Clinton will be in that show, but he'll just be a head in a jar.
Oh God!
And he'll be talking.
That's funny.
And it's like because they're all dead because it's the future.
That's it.
So anyway, so it's like that, but it's gruesome and they're dead.
Can I also say so? Their heads are in jars. And the blood that has clearly come out of their heads is starting to fill up the jar. So there's like an inch of blood at the bottom of the jars, which I thought was a really nice, gruesome, horrifying touch.
Yeah, it's a very visceral, realistic prop.
Especially after that carnival introduction, this like happy music that's playing.
Yeah. And they don't have any lines, but they do like the little girl comes out and like does a dance and like here's our show. Like that's her body language.
Yeah, she's got red hair and a red dress. It's like maroon, which feels very blood.
It's very weird. They're it's like gypsies like coming up and just be like, this is our show and we're doing stuff and here's your dead sons.
Yeah,
like,
they set up chairs for them.
And they
it's a show.
Yeah, and they don't even like none of the characters acknowledge any of this. They just react to the dead sons as same way as if they just brought two dead bodies.
Yeah.
And then now now Titus and his brother have switched dispositions, and his brother was like, calm down. Titus is like, no, I'm gonna fucking rage. Now Titus is just like, he given up. He gives up, and the son's like, now we're gonna fucking
Not
go
the son,
to
the
war.
uncle. So,
I'm sorry,
so
not that
Titus's
son,
brother.
Yeah, uncle, the Marcus was like, oh, now's the time to fuck shit up. Like, I can't believe they did this, but like conceivably, Marcus is not privy to like all the nuances that Titus has been throughout the entire movie. He didn't see the interaction with the queen either time. He didn't see, he just sees the outside and he's like, what do you mean? Your son's got convicted like based on law. So like in that way, they're kind of the same. And he's like, you don't need to raise a war over this. But now he's like, he saw him give his hand and the son still died.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, fuck this. Like,
so that's Marcus's line.
Exactly. Marcus is like, we're going to war, motherfucker. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then Titus is, he's given up. He's like, everything I do is still not turning out right. All my sons are dead, except for my one son left that, I guess, I feel like he's starting to see his sons as human beings as opposed to disposable pawns. But he's like, but it's like too late.
He lost a lot of sons before this movie even started.
He's just so exhausted. He doesn't know which way's up.
Yeah.
And but then finally, now they make their second like revenge declaration. They declare revenge like 5 times.
I mean, wouldn't you? Like if this happened to your, I know, but if this happened to your family, wouldn't you like? I would be declaring revenge at breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's as if someone says something. I'm like, this is the last straw, and then they do 4 more things to me. I'm like, all right, this is the last straw.
No, it doesn't feel like that to me. It feels like we have to reaffirm. Like we can't get distracted. We gotta reaffirm.
Like first,
this is what we're doing.
Basically, it's like we're all right, guys. We're gonna kill him, and this time they're like, all right, guys. Now we're gonna kill him, but you can't go past that. But anyway, it's just funny that they keep having these. To me, these funny that the movie doesn't play this for comedy, but they just keep having these declarations of revenge.
It makes sense to me. It is funny when you take a step back.
It is funny, and I can't help but have that always like metacognition.
I'm gonna start like
this is the 3rd time they've declared revenge.
I'm gonna start repeatedly declaring revenge with you about things.
Do it.
I just want to see what you do.
This means war. No. This means war.
But this means like really war. I feel like now I feel like part of it is now Marcus is on board.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it is still funny when you take a step back.
Marcus was on board the first time, I think. I don't know.
He was like kind of on board.
Anyway.
What voice was that? I never want to do that again.
Anyway.
He was like kind of on board. It was what's her name from Big Mouth? He was like kind of on board.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Nick Kroll, we love you.
Love you. And Julie Taymor.
So anyway, another thing to mention is that ever since the Titus killed his first son at the beginning of the movie, and the boy went with the other son, the boy hasn't been in the movie this entire time. But the boy comes back for the scene, and then this is the first time anybody like purposefully interacts with the boy.
Yes.
And then Titus's only remaining son, who is played by I think I mentioned him at the beginning, and his name is Angus McFadden. McFadden.
Either way,
he's great.
I just like that his name is Angus. It's delightful.
By the way, if you haven't seen a movie called Cradle Will Rock, it's about musical theater in the during the Depression and the program that the government tried to start to keep it open, and he plays Orson Welles. He's great. When
I first met Paul, and he was like, one of my favorite movies is about people that made theater during the Great Depression. I was like, oh damn, this guy's cute.
The fact that I like that movie is one of my best qualities.
Am I saying anything?
All right.
It's a great movie. Because I hadn't seen it before I met you. It's really good. Highly recommend.
So anyway, Angus McFadden, great actor. I love the movies he's in. Anyway, so the son interacts with the boy and purposely like hugs the boy because the boy's sad now. And so like now the boy's kind of had a couple diegetic moments, but now the boy is firmly diegetic.
Yeah.
So that's the moment where I'm like, oh, so like what was all that symbolism at the beginning of him just being on the side? So I think at the end you should tell me what's going on.
Okay.
Because right now it doesn't ruin anything for me again because the boy's not a huge part of this. But
But he's in there. He's like woven in there.
No, it's not woven. It's like he's not, and then he is.
Right. I just meant him as an entity is woven in there. Like he's at the beginning and then he's there later. Like he pops up throughout the story.
I feel like he's peppered and then
he's peppered. Peppered is better than woven.
And then suddenly he's just like he's in it. And he's in the stew.
Yeah.
So he hugs the boy, and then I think later on we find out that the boy is Titus's grandson, so therefore he must be the homeboy's
yeah,
son.
exactly.
Cool.
So their names are really easy, and they're the only ones that I never remember.
Lucius.
The boy's young Lucius, and then his dad is Lucius.
Oh, okay. There you go.
mean, he should technically be Draco if his dad's Lucius, but we won't get into that.
Lucius
Lucius Malfoy.
Okay, so then we have a scene of them. I think it's just like them existing. So I think we're supposed to depict that some time has passed. Like they have had to live in this place for a while, and the boy, we have a shot of just the boy by himself, and he's going to like a shop with a bunch of wooden hands in it. It turns out he's going to go bring the hand to Lavinia, who, thank God, we didn't have to see the scene where they took the twigs out of her wrist, because fuck that.
God.
But they're out, and he bought her some wooden hands, so she's trying to like find her place in this life.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's interesting too, her reaction to it, because she starts to cry, she's upset, and then she turns to him to be like, thank you. Like she smiles for him, but I don't think she's enjoying her place. Yeah.
Tongue is cut out, been defiled,
he's trying to help.
Her lover's dead, and she got no hands. So she can't even talk. Sign language is clear, or like, well, she can't even use sign language, but like, so she's completely handicapped in a world where she was already handicapped as a woman.
Yeah.
Damn!
I was gonna say, Paul, you just tapped into something I wanted to bring up. This is dope. So I think that what the lack of hands are symbolizing is a lack of agency and control.
I mean, it's like the
pretty,
most crude symbol.
I know, but it's true. Like I think one thing we've been talking about throughout this is like using archetypes and using very bold strokes to create an outline in which we can create more nuance. And I think that this is one of the instances where it does it, especially because she has clearly no agency, and Titus has way less agency than he thought in him getting one hand chopped off. Yeah. Yeah.
And so we have a scene where they're at dinner, and it's really cool because the whole like plot doesn't come to a standstill, but we do like pause. It's like a crescendo. We pause so they can just. This is what their life is like now.
Yes.
So Titus is not wearing army clothes anymore. He's wearing normal clothes, and we see he's just an old man with one hand now.
Yes.
And Lavinia is a woman with no hands and no tongue.
She can't talk. She can't communicate.
And his uncle's there, and the boy's there. And so now this is the first time that Titus acknowledges the boy. And so the boy is just like kills a fly. Titus is like, fuck you kill a fly for? Fly was like innocent. It wasn't hurting nobody. It's fucking, what are you doing? And he's like has this whole speech about, how, these are like weak things.
It had a father and a mother.
Exactly. But people loved it, and it had drives and ambitions, and you just killed it like it was nothing. And like obviously, this is like him being very transparent about what he's feeling guilty and sad about. And the kid like retorts. The kid responds. He's like, I killed the fly because it's like it's annoying me, and it's like the more. I can't remember exactly he probably has a much better way of saying that, but like I kill a fly like it's a more, and then
it's Aaron,
like it's Aaron specifically the more in this movie. So it was one token black person.
Minority. God,
did Shakespeare invent the token black guy?
Maybe. Oh my God.
But so and then Titus is like, oh, good idea. Let's fucking kill the more.
He takes a knife.
Yeah, and then he starts like
a giant knife,
like stabbing the fly with it. I think they killed a fly with the knife. I'm like, that was pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, dude.
So, anyway, so he kills the fly, and he's like, let's kill the more, and that's like kind of like.
And they're all laughing too. Is the other thing, which I find
maniacal
very...
kind of laughing.
Yeah,
like, he's still pretty unhinged, and the little boy is like wants revenge now too. But I'm like, I just got used to hearing this boy speak. He spoke for like the first time in this scene.
Right.
So it's like, I'm still wondering what the little boy is supposed to be, or his like role
in
functionally.
This world, yeah.
But, I mean, I understand if he's his grandson, he can talk, and he probably hates the more too. So his motivations make sense. Yeah. I'm just like, that's just the first time I've seen him talk. And he's still wearing 90s clothes.
Yeah. One thing I found really interesting in this scene was that I actually pinged for the first time, because I've never played Lavinia, I've never played Titus. There's a part where Titus goes up to Lavinia and is like trying to understand what she's saying, and what she's saying is like, I don't want to drink anything because I drink my tears.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Which is heartbreaking, first of all.
This scene,
it also shows that he's in tune with what's going on with her.
They spent some time with this scene.
They did, and it's wonderful.
The scene was like 10 minutes long.
Yeah, and I feel like it was really warranted. I feel like in some... I feel like it's possible for this scene to feel out of left field, taking us out of it, taking out the steam from the plot.
I agree.
But what it felt like
It
was...
reinforced everything.
It reinforced everything, and I think that that's how it was written, and obviously I'm biased because I like Shakespeare plays in general, but I feel like it was written in a way to show us this is the aftermath and this is the damage that comes from trauma and grief. It is actually having an impact on these people, and we see how it does.
I think one thing that was super important of why it was hard hitting is that a lot of movies, action movies now, they are edited. They're that's not a surprise to anybody, but they're edited and they're like so meticulously paced, and that always something is developing and happening, and something is always rising as something is falling, and that's because it's purely for entertainment. But it misses the truth of life in the sense that when something happens, now you have to deal with the consequences, and every moment isn't this action-packed thrill ride.
No.
So the moment before, the sons are mad and they're declaring revenge again, and it's like very sad. The score is swelling. It's like really big. It's a very emotional moment. Then silence.
Yeah.
And we're just eating fucking dinner.
We're in it.
And we just
have to deal with it.
Exactly. Like life is Rush Deadpool 2, 4 or 5 moments of heroism.
Yeah.
And it's not really the best quote. I just thought of it.
I thought it was funny.
But there are these huge moments that happen, and then the rest, a lot of other life is quite mundane comparatively.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to brush your teeth now with no hands, and try to wipe your ass, and try
how to cognitively survive.
Try to talk to your dad.
Right.
And they're just trying to eat dinner, and they can't even do that. So it was a great glimpse into the everyday life that they have to think about right now, and how they wove that into the next plot point and the next declaration of revenge.
No, but I was just gonna say, I feel like that's why they have to keep swearing revenge.
Yeah.
Because life and the mundanity of life is gonna get in the way. It's like, oh, it's another day and we haven't avenged ourselves. It's another day and we haven't avenged ourselves. It's another day and nothing's happened. We need to avenge ourselves. I feel like that's what that is. And then the other thing that I keep thinking about that I am so happy they did in this production, because you can't ignore it, and if you do, it's just gonna not work. That scene is funny.
It is funny.
Especially because Titus is laughing about, he's like, I can't remember what Marcus says, but it's something about give yourself a hand or something can you give me a hand? It's not that, but it's something about a hand.
He's like, yeah, and the daughter's mad about no hands, but trust me, I know what no hand feels like.
Right, he's like, hands, Marcus? You're gonna talk to us about hands? It's funny.
The way they play it, honestly, is that he's crazy now. And he plays unhinged now. No, okay. Follow me.
I'm giving him a suspicious look.
Follow me. Yeah. He's not the character he was at the beginning of this movie, obviously, because of trauma, but he's also he's not sad and morose. He is vibrant and lively, but in a clearly off way. And so that's what I mean by unhinged.
His whole structure is gone.
But what they
he built his personality on.
Exactly. Yeah. And but he still has a purpose, and he still has cunning left. But
which makes him lively.
But he has no normal decorum left.
No.
It's very. I struggle to come up with an example of a character that is. But I know there exists one. It's gonna hit me 20 minutes from now, and I'm just gonna yell it out.
It crumbled with his vision of society.
He outbursts randomly, and he talks lively, but he's clearly sad. And when he talks to his doctor, says doctor when he talks to his daughter.
Same thing.
He's clearly I feel like it's hard to argue with the fact that he's unhinged from now on.
If you're describing unhinged that way, I totally agree.
Cool. And Anthony Hopkins is crushing it. So anyway, that is that scene. And they redeclare revenge against the Moor. And then now we cut to the Moor. We cut to the Moor and the incest twins.
Yeah.
And I guess we're just supposed to, again, the movie is just, it's showing that we're just existing now while setting up new things, which is great.
Yeah.
And so now this is a super important scene, but the way it starts is just funny. It's it looks like they took over the Ninja Turtles hangout cave.
It does.
It's a dirty cellar with arcade games and a pool table and some chain link fence around and ancient tools. So I guess kind of ninja weapons. And so And they're just like, we're partying now. We won. There's nothing to standing in our way now. But it does still make an effort to separate the Moor from the incest twins. The incest twins are crazy, but the Moor is like calculatedly cunning.
Yes.
And so, but the way they do that,
couldn't have said it better myself, Paul Stafford.
the way they do, and so it's like they're like playing pool again. So like the time frame doesn't matter. So they're playing a pool on a new pool table, and then one of the twins just like, and the Moor is like actually playing the game, and one of the twins like takes the ball and takes the stick and gets on the table and starts like pumping his pelvis in the Moor's face.
Like you do.
It was funny. The edit of the shot, it works. Everything works.
Yeah.
But like you just see like this like dick wrapped in tight red leather, just like pumping in the Moor's face, and he's just disgusted.
He's like, no.
I could not help. An audible laugh came out
Of course, it's ridiculous.
The scene is funny, and also like it does what it's supposed to do.
I think it's
like,
meant to be. Yeah.
Moore doesn't like them, but they're on the same side.
Yes.
And he's like, all right, you fucking idiots. We're here to, we've done our job, but we still got other things going on.
I know that your powers of retention are as wet as a warthog's backside.
So we still got other things going on, but the incest twins are just like, they're here for just their next rowdy time. They don't care about anything
That's
else.
all they care about. Young
Lucius, the little boy who's now diegetic, comes in and he's like, yo, I'm here. And immediately they pick him up and they like put him on the pool table. Like, I'm like, are they about to kill him? Like, Titus, did you send this little boy as a messenger?
Idiots.
You fucking dumbass. Like, they were crazy.
They kill him.
But the boy has like a package, and it's like a satchel full of like a bunch of weapons. And Titus is basically saying like, I'm coming for you, motherfuckers. Get ready, right?
No, it's like the opposite. He's like, "Oh, worthy princes."
Sorry, I took the gesture as that's what it was saying. But you're right. They have come with a letter, and that's what it. And the letter says, "Help me."
Oh, worthy princes, have these swords that are amazing because you are amazing. Oh God, you are the best.
But they know it's bullshit. They know he has every reason to hate them, and that's kind of what they take it as. They're like, this is not right, and we better
like
be on our...
what they feel like is something is off about this,
yeah.
And this is part of Titus trying to set up his specifically madness that we're gonna get to.
That's
soon.
what I mean, the unhingedness. And I was gonna say they set up that he's the unhinged, but they also set up that he's playing a deep game.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I guess I didn't say that before.
So I think what I was kind of looking at you suspiciously about earlier was there's a difference between he's unhinged, or like his structure has fallen apart, and he's mad. He's not mad.
I think it's a little of A and little of B. I don't think he is so calculated and so controlled that like, I will specifically do this now. Because like he doesn't have a soliloquy where he tells us what he's doing. He just does it, and we see it. And I think he is now become like, he has nothing left to lose. So he is allowed to be unhinged because like he's holding himself together like anybody holds himself together because of their country or their family. But his country and his family and his honor all got taken away from him. So he like is kind of is unhinged, but I think he's not devoid of purpose or intention
or reason.
Yeah, well, that I think both one of those things implies the other. I mean, you need reason to have to accomplish a purpose.
We're talking about like what is unhinged, what is mad.
Yeah, I mean unhinged is in like, like his all of his like
decorum
and in social.
I think we're on the same page.
Social awareness or social like what he cares about social. Like he's not a general anymore. He's not a fucking doesn't even have a hand. Everything.
He doesn't feel loyal to the Caesar, which he did.
Everything
forever.
he needed to hold himself together for like appearance is all gone. So he doesn't need that anymore, and therefore he's like all fallen apart to that respect. But he still has like his kind of like just straight core drives of what he wants to do. Yeah. But it also is like kind of planned. I just don't think it's so planned that it's like I'm being a character now. It's like he let himself seem as unhinged and crazy as he probably wanted to, but knowing that was going to affect other people's perception in a certain way. Yeah, we're saying the same thing then. It's pretty deep trying to like really pick that apart. It is, and I think that's a problem with Hamlet too. But it feels good. It feels right what he's doing. So, dude, this is so Hamlet. Yeah. Anyway, keep going. What? Sorry. Actually, let me say one more thing. Yeah. I think I'm realizing, and I was realizing this as I was watching the movie. I'm trying to think of one Shakespeare character that is actually mad.
and I can't think of one. They're
Ooh.
probably out there. Maybe they're out there. Maybe they're not.
I would argue that, and maybe not mad. I mean, that's what we're talking about before. When you're like talking about like thing. We talked about this in another episode. Talking about shows or movies that depict people falling apart or coming undone because of the circumstances of their world and their ability to handle it. And there are times where we can follow someone into that abyss. Yeah. And we can maybe not completely empathize or sympathize. I can't remember which one's like that. Empathize. Empathize is when you've done it. It happened to you before. Yes. Where we can't completely empathize, but because we followed them and the movie is clear, we can sympathize. Yeah. And I think this is one of those examples where we can sympathize with Titus. We followed him to rock bottom and beyond. Yes. And so when to the point where he and the transition was so seamless, and that we can see every step, and we're even to the point where he laughed at his daughter's like undoing. Right. So I can believe his unhingedness at this point. As opposed to other characters, and so like that's why I'm not saying. So when I'm he's not mad, he's mad like a fox, like right, you know what I mean? Which is Hamlet, which is Margaret. Like it's I definitely haven't seen a production of Hamlet where I felt like that was earned. I know. So what I'm trying to say then is like I think maybe Shakespeare in general is trying to make more points about madness, but I feel like that's less relevant than the fact that like. Well, it depends on how you look at it, but I feel like a lot of what's going on is he's trying to lay out for us how these people got to this point, which means they're not mad in the traditional sense that we think of someone like, oh, they're just crazy. Would we want a character? I'm confused as to. How would you have a protagonist that is truly mad and like have that be a functional or entertaining or like useful point to a story if none of their like motivations or actions make any sense anymore because they're truly mad? Right. So like, would you even want a character like that? Right. I think the answer is probably no. Yeah. And I think that I think that that's part of the problem that I've heard from you that you've had with characters before, that it's like their motivations make no sense. Because of the production. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm inclined to agree with that thesis, even not seeing all of these plays. Totally. Yeah. But the more specific point I'm trying to make is that I've seen so many characters of his that like either people that have played, not that have played them necessarily, but that have talked about them to me and been like, oh, that character's just crazy. Or, the characters in their world surrounding them think they're mad. And at least more often than not, probably 9 times out of 10, almost definitely all of them are not mad, which I feel like is a really interesting point. Maybe Shakespeare's trying to make it about society, but also is just really interesting in terms of like, Hamlet's not mad. Titus isn't mad. They're acting in ways they were pushed to, or they're acting in ways that they actually do have an underlying intention, which I think is really interesting. I'm pinging that for myself about his characters, and I don't have a solid handle on what that means yet. Yeah, you haven't. But I have some theories. You haven't combed through every single point to like have like a specific set of examples, right? But from your intimate knowledge of and like, of the canon, the canon, that's kind of the Shakespeare cinematic universe. I love that. The SCU. It is something that I notice and that does feel significant. Fair. In his worldview. Yeah, I'd have to go through Hamlet again to like really have a specific like debatable argument. But right now, like what I feel like we are, like I've already said, like out of all the productions I've seen, I don't feel like I've seen one where how he acts and what he does is earned. We'll get there. All right, so we have that the boy sent the gift, the quote unquote gift from Titus of all those weapons. Oh, and we just to ping something that totally I know you caught, but like one of the actors like was like, "Oh, cool, fucking swords," and you're like, "This is the part where you being like, who gave them swords?" Yeah. And one of them starts like really swinging the sword around, like really like he was like fighting an invisible enemy, and he's like not 2 feet from the other actor, and he kind of almost hits him, And then I'm like, oh, Chloe wouldn't like that. Oh, he almost hit him. Like literally.
Like choreographer Chloe.
Like, I'm sure the blades were dull, but literally could have really, really hurt the other guy. I know that you got tense if I did.
I am praying to the gods that they had a stunt coordinator on set who had them go through at half speed first and then did it for the take full speed after a couple times going through it slow motion. So
yeah,
he
I don't think that happened.
Spatially aware and had lots of proprioception that he used.
Based on what happened, I don't think that happened.
God.
I think they were like, yeah, you swing it over here and you stand over here, but like I think they were just like in their characters and like somebody either forgot to stand far enough away, or the other person like forgot not to get too close, and like it almost went bad. Anyway, this
is like minor. The one thing I'm like jaded about.
A lot of people might not even catch it. It was that minor. But anyway, so then a super important scene happens for the movie. Kind of. I mean, like he's a main character, but more for the social commentary that Shakespeare is making, I think. And we have a midwife that comes to the Underground Ninja Turtle arcade. And she has a baby, and she's like, oh, guys, something big happened. And then the brother's like, oh, our mom had a baby. Sweet. And the Moor probably knows what's up. And then they're like, no. Baby's black. So you know what that means. You know, like that's so all the cultural, the kingdom implications, like the queen, all her family's gonna die. Like if the king finds out this baby is alive and black, which I assume he will. I mean, like they haven't quite shown the queen since, so she's not like they just keep doing scenes where like time has passed. So like clearly she's gone through the whole pregnancy cycle and just been obviously pregnant, but we haven't seen her since, so we don't know that she's been pregnant. But presumably the king knows that she's about to have a baby. Yeah. And she had it, and it's black, and so the midwife comes to tell the Moor, to her own peril. I'm not sure why she did that, but here's your baby, bye. She did, and then the Moor's like, who knows about it? And she's like, just me and the queen, and like what other person? He's like, sweet, you did, and he grabs the baby, and then like and suddenly the incest twins are like, why did you do that? As if they don't like kill everybody like based on like nothing. Yeah, but they're not cunning. They're just like animals. They're animals. So like they're basically just like bowing to the leader of the pack, which is the Moor. And so now they're like kind of scared of him. And he's like, and I forgot the name of this actor. What is the name of this actor? He's the general in The Matrix 2, by the way. I mean, that's what's important. Harry Lennox. He is fantastic. He's fantastic. Fan-fucking-tastic. He's an amazing actor. He has a whole speech in front of these twins, and he's like, basically like, I see the way you motherfuckers talk about black people. Sure, you can say all this shit, but fuck that. Like this is my line. This is my baby. Yes. I will kill everybody before I let anybody hurt this fucking baby. And he has the most conviction, like one of the best performances. Just like everybody is delivering one of the best performances I've seen in movies, not just plays. In general. Not just Shakespeare. In general. Everyone's swinging for the fences and knocking them out of the fucking park. Yes. It is so crazy. It's so good to see. And it's like, and it's so real. Like, this is what a parent would say if their baby was just born and people were trying to kill it. Everyone's trying to kill it. Yeah. Like, literally, the midwife comes down and is like, the Empress asked me to bring this to you so you can kill him. Yeah. And so... But so this is, again, important to the point Shakespeare was making. Like, some people know where their line is. He's been loyal to the queen. He's killed. He's probably fucking done all these terrible things to all these people. He's had to pretend he's just her servant. Yeah, when they're in love. But he knew, and he's been having sex with her. But also, honestly, she's been kind of more on him than he is on her. He's kind of more like, yeah, we're fucking, but like also chill out. Like, we need to be careful about this. Like, we need to be smart. But it clearly, at least the way this is played, is that he's made this decision long ago. Like, if she has a baby and that baby's black, he knows how that baby's going to be treated because he's been black in this world. And he's like, I will kill anybody and the queen before anybody hurts his baby. And like, he wasn't conflicted. He didn't know it. He didn't make any other choices. He wasn't coming to the choice now. He's like, this is the choice I've already made, and I'm about to. This is like because the queen's been pregnant. He's had to think about this because it could have been his this whole time. And it's so interesting that Shakespeare like decided to play it this way because like he has experienced a certain level of success because he knew where his line was. There's value to knowing where your line is and playing the game strategically based on that. Yeah. And it's like, again, we're like, knowing when to break the rules is important. It's like that's part of that. That's another way of saying that same thing. Yeah. which is super interesting. It's super because it's
knowing
true to a lot of sense, and not having an ethical philosophy and adhering to it and drawing these very specific lines. There's agency to that resolution of how you're going to be in the world, and is a fundamental point that I feel like is being made here. Again, it's something that me and I'm sure a lot of people have thought about for a long time.
Yeah.
So to have these things just portrayed on the screen so beautifully is cathartic to anyone.
I think it's even true of storytelling and the rules that we're laying out right now. Knowing when to break the rules is important.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's true to cutting Shakespeare. I think that's true to, I mean, it's true to anything.
Yeah.
And it's a really good maxim. And I think it's a really good thing that this play communicates in a really cool, interesting way.
For show.
Ooh.
For show. And this was a wonderful moment it was a terrible moment.
Yeah.
Sorry, midwife, you did.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a wonderful acting moment and a wonderful storytelling moment. For sure.
It was awesome when that midwife died. She deserved it.
I hated her.
She was played by Stan Lee in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
There's always like a little extra that's just like a Shakespeare stand-in. That's hilarious. Chloe, you're so evil.
I know.
Okay. So that's just to set up that there's a baby now and the queen's honor / safety / security in this position is in jeopardy as long as the baby is alive and someone knows that it's hers. Mm-hmm. Which I guess logistically wouldn't really mean anything. Like as long as no one knows where her baby went, any random black baby wouldn't necessarily be hers. So there's no DNA test. Anyway, it's a little bit of a plot hole, but it's fine. We also...
It's all about knowledge though. If one person knows...
It is not... I mean, I'm coming to that point right now, but it does not hurt the story at all.
No.
Yeah. So now we go back to, again, Titus and the daughter, Lavinia, and the uncle and not the brother. Oh, I forgot to mention. It's not a throwaway line because it's important, but he just says it it's just something to do. But after the brothers get their heads shown to Titus, Titus is like, oh, last brother, now go to the Goths that we just beat and just go make an army, and then if you love me like I think you do, I'm pretty sure we're on the same side. I'm crazy now, but I'm pretty sure we're on the same side. Go to the Goths, make a new army, and then come back and take over Rome. Mm-hmm. So we can get our revenge. Okay, bye. Go. That's basically how he says it.
Yeah.
And the son's like, Roger. Salute,
Roger
Dad.
that.
So anyway.
Thanks, General. Dad. General.
So the son.
Dad.
The son's gone now. It makes me feel like Shakespeare is such a playwright. He just feels like you could just tell someone to go raise an army in a foreign nation and they'll just go ahead and do it.
Wouldn't you?
Exactly. It's so easy. Doesn't speak the language, doesn't know anything about the culture, but just go be a general in the other army. You go do that. You just go apply to HR to be a general of the Goths, who I thought we had killed, but I guess not.
We didn't kill them. We just won the war.
But I guess they have tons of army, military-aged men just ready to be militarized.
Yeah, they just fought a war.
Easy, totally. Okay, so we come back to the not the 4 Revengers, but the 3, because we sent Lucius off, and we just have Titus, the daughter, and the uncle, Marcus. And so they have this moment where the daughter decides that she can write in the sand with the stick.
No, she doesn't decide. Marcus gives her the idea.
Marcus gives her the idea, and she can write in the sand with the stick with her shoulders and not her hands, so she can say who did the deed to her, because they've been ignorant the entire time of that it was the incest twins that actually raped her and did all this shit to her. They just thought it was just some random people out of nowhere that did it. And so that happens, and then now they swear revenge for a 4th time.
Yeah, duh.
Really getting revenge this time, guys.
Especially because now it's clearly been at least 9 months since all this shit went down, because Taymor had a baby.
Exactly. So that, again, I can intellectually go back and realize that, but that's fair enough. They have taken the effort to tell me that time has passed.
It is funny though. It's and now get revenge.
Guys, I know we said we have revenge 3 months ago, and I know I started this knitting project, and Lavinia, you started your book club, and we've been living our lives, but I forgot. Now we're definitely getting revenge for back on this.
For sure, man.
So, swear revenge again. And then this is where I think I wrote it down. Like, this is where where Titus, like, he might have said it before, but this is where I, like, noticed that Titus was like, oh, the boy is my grandson, and the boy is with them as well. But he's still, like, largely an observer, but, like, he just gets acknowledged more. And then we go back to Tamara.
Mm-hmm.
And we go back to Tamara. And it's like she's in bed with Saturnitis.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of weird. Not weird. Okay, I'm going to say this, but it's not weird. And this isn't inherently weird. Like, normally when you movies, you see, like, the dude is, like, laying down and the girl's laying on his chest.
They're inverting
that. That's not
stereotype.
Inherently weird.
No.
But what is weird is that it feels like he's like a baby kind of suckling at her teat.
Yeah, like, they really set it up that it looks like his mouth is, like, about to be around her
he's
nipple.
Clearly the inferior person in this relationship. Inferior, like emotionally and physically.
Yeah.
And he's like he just got done
and mentally
suckling from her teat like he's a baby, and that's what they set up to feel like, and they get it across because it's really uncomfortable.
It's super uncomfortable, especially because we already have the incest twins.
Exactly, and she's like, and it's like she has him in the palm of her hand.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I wrote, and then there's a lot of things like coming to a head right now. So they have that they're still, and all the decadence is like kind of like they've obviously it's been 9 months, but it's almost as if it was the same scene from the first Great Gatsby scene where they're all partying, and it's as if that same party is now over.
Right, it's the hangover scene.
And now everybody is like sleeping on these like big inflatable swans that are like floating in the pool, and they're all like fucking high on drugs, and they're having hangovers and stuff like that. And then we also go.
They're a mess.
Yeah, they're a fucking mess, and which is fair. Like they've societally they've stood on the backs of people like Titus who've been fighting these wars for them and probably bringing back all these spoils of wars, all these riches from all these other countries, and they've just been fucking sniffing coke lines off toilet seats and just fucking just having a great time. Which is a story as old as time and is also something that's like relevant today. So perfect, Julie. Golf clap.
Julie.
So we also have Titus, who's still trying to like rally support for his revenge cause, and clearly he's like having trouble doing it because now because so much time has passed, people probably forgot about his sons. They're living their lives. Everybody's like it's hard all around, and he seems like a crazy old kook now, as opposed to a revered general, and he like goes to his cousins or like friends of friends or like whatever it is, and they have this scene where like he's like leading them through these streets of what is Rome. But what's really poignant about it is that Chloe, you like looked it up while we were watching it, and I love that you did. I'm so happy. It made me appreciate it more because like we were like in an ambiguous kind of like street. I'm like, is this old or is this like new? It is new and old. They filmed it in Rome, the ghettos of Rome now, but so clearly it was this like prosperous area back then, and so like and they come to like the ruins of the Colosseum. So Anthony Hopkins and all these people are in their old robes, and they like come to the ruins of the Colosseum today.
Yeah,
it's fucking such a great idea to do that.
It really was. It was beautiful.
And then again, he has this whole scene where he's still like playing this like old kook, unhinged kind of crazy person. We're not sure if it's like how much deep of a game he's playing, but he gives it to all his friends, and he's like, we're gonna. Like, I've lost everything, and I don't know how to, like, get it back, so we're going to send, like, notes to the gods. We're going to send letters to Santa. And he ties a letter around an arrow for each god, and, like, the Roman gods are basically, like, our planets.
Yeah, and then the guys have a moment, so all of his, like, relatives, friends, extended relatives, have a moment where they're like, he's lost it, but we gotta just... We gotta... put on a brave face for him, do what he wants. Yeah. But it's also good because it's clearly a crowd of people that now think he's crazy. Yeah. So that helps his cause. Yeah. It helps his cause because part of his plan is for people to think bank on the fact that he's crazy. Yes. It's like his bait. Anyway, so he's doing that,
and he tells them to like shoot the arrows up like into the courtyard or like over this wall.
Yeah.
And it's like as if they're shooting it to the heavens to like send messages to gods. And I can't tell if they understand what's happening or not, but whatever the case, they shoot the arrows over the wall. It turns out on the other side of this wall is this hangover party that's happening, like the where all these sleeping people and all these naked
with the pool,
all these naked people are getting like barraged by arrows now, and
yeah,
like
it sinks the float,
and like yeah, and that's part of Anthony Hopkins' plan.
Yeah,
is that he's gonna, fucking fuck up their party now,
right? And at the same time, they'll think he's crazy because they'll get all these notes that are like, "To the gods, I'm so mad. Love, Titus."
Exactly, which is hilarious because they shoot it into the pool, and like while panic is ensuing, people are picking up the arrows and reading the notes.
Yes,
while the arrows are still flying, which they do that for the audience, but which is a hilarious.
It's so funny.
And like I know more arrows just came on, so conceivably more arrows will keep coming, but I was gonna stop and read this letter real quick. And just like, it's from Titus. This is hilarious. I hope I get hit by an arrow.
What an idiot.
Yeah, I know. So that was funny. Whether it was thought out or not, they made the choice, and I laughed.
Based on the rest of this movie,
I'm not mad
I think it was thought
out. So they okay, wait, what happens next? They go back to the Goth army now. Now we catch up with Titus's son that he was just like, hey, yo, go build an army.
Old Lucius
came fucking through.
Yeah.
Old Lucius made the best goddamn Goth army anyone's ever seen.
He did.
He crushed it. And also, somehow they caught the Moor. They just, like, he was just, like, walking by himself somewhere, got caught sleeping.
Yeah.
And they just...
With the baby.
They scooped him up. They scooped him up and his baby. Mm-hmm. So maybe he was like trying to go home now, try to find some refuge, like
go somewhere else where they wouldn't recognize him. Maybe,
or maybe he went to go back to the Goth lands where he did know people.
Right.
But turns out Lucius is the king of them because it's that easy to do.
Yeah. I mean, when you don't have a leader, you don't have someone to look to.
Sure.
Now they got someone new to rally around.
Yeah, totally. We're in disagreement about this point. Or how easy it would be. But anyway, so he's Lucius is king of the Goths now. He has an emo haircut and everything. No, I'm kidding. But they caught the Moor, so now he has to like answer for his sins. And he's like, and the armor they wear, it looks like a unicorn. Did we talk about this?
Wait, what?
The armor that the Goths
one guy
wear, like one guy has like a little unicorn horn on his
we did talk about this. I was like, Paul, a unicorn. Look.
It was pretty great. He was fabulous. And now
he was a scary unicorn.
And they also made a choice to switch like the time period weapons. They have like shotguns now.
That was
instead
awesome.
Of
no, it wasn't just that. So at the beginning of that scene, they have swords. At the end, they have guns.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah. They like, I don't know why they make the choice, but the switch.
Why do you think?
I mean, okay. Sometimes like when there's like artistic choices made, you can like read into a lot of shit and you can like discover the thing you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't so I really, my personality type and my just like objective aims make me very wary of just like trying to guess and like find my way to what I think this choice meant. Unless it's clear to me, it's not clear. Does that make sense?
Do you felt like it was annoying?
No, but I noticed it, and it may have been. I'm sure it was for some reason, but it could have easily been for like the reason that like we've had a lot of swords here, and we want to make the time period ambiguous, so shotguns now. Like it could have been that, but it also could have been something very meaningful. It just wasn't clear to me, and I'm not gonna. And I feel wary of like fumbling my way to try to like create like the conspiracy theory, like this means this and this means this, like. If it's not clear, if I notice it, if I connect the dots, I'll connect them. But if not, then I won't.
As someone who is often on the inside of these decisions, it seems really intentional to me, which I really like about it because it doesn't feel haphazard. It doesn't feel like, oh, we just happened to have meeting. Surprise, there it is. Like we had meeting the whole time. What it feels like to me is that same thing that I was talking about earlier of ambiguity with meaning and intention behind it. So what it felt like was what they were saying with that, without it being too heavy-handed, because they clearly weren't trying to draw attention to like, we have guns now. It just was happening in the background. But what it felt like was, it doesn't matter whether it's swords or guns. It's the same goddamn thing. It's still war. It's still being fought for something, some higher meaning, some higher calling that may or may not be quote unquote real.
Yeah. Or you mean like worthwhile or valid or like a good reason to, because war is hell. Like, what do you mean real?
I mean the same thing that we were talking about with Titus fighting for quote unquote Rome and quote unquote justice, because Titus was fighting for justice or Rome, whatever you want to say, his entire life, because he thought that was right. He thought Rome was right, but then Rome turned into this to Alan Cumming, who
space Nazi,
who is an asshole, and he's still following this thing that he thought would be a thing no matter who is in charge of it. But really, it's just the people. It's the fallibility of people, and the fact, whether they're fighting with swords or guns, they're fighting for an idea. And that idea may or may not stick around till the end of the war. Yeah. Or the end of that civilization.
Yeah. It makes sense. And like, while he may have been a hero in his own eyes, or to Romans, he was a villain to everyone else. Yeah. Like, and it's like, it's war is, it's war, and it has different faces, but that makes sense. Like what you're saying, like it may have been pinging that like, oh, we do the same thing today. Yes. Yeah, like we have our reasons. Everybody always has their reasons, but war is terrible, and it to somebody it has this awful devilish face. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. And sure, that may have been just the amount. Like I don't know. Like I allow it to hit me in a certain way, and my subconscious, I think, is pretty good at like remembering not good at, I mean, you can't, it's just like it hits everybody differently, but I mean, like I'm constantly analyzing as consciously as I can, but also subconsciously, all the things that are hitting me when something is like really stands out, like all of the relevant argument or relevant assets to that argument jump to the front of my mind, and so I'm like, this is what they're trying to say because of A, B, B, C. That wasn't one of the moments where that happened, but I believe that. I believe that they made that choice for that reason. Yeah. Word. Anyway, so they're at the Goth army now. What I thought they might have been saying was that now from swords to shotguns means that the Goth army is powerful now. They're more powerful than swords. They have shotguns. Like maybe like a logistical choice to be like, because they do have a scene coming up pretty soon where like they're at negotiations now, as if the Goth army has like something to bargain with. Sure. Like military power. Yeah. But anyway. It wasn't that important for the micro decisions of our characters of our story. Right. So they caught the Moor. And the Moor has like another decision to make. And the last son is wrestling with his conscience of like
Titus's last son,
yeah. Lucius, old Lucius. Is wrestling with his conscience of like, do I kill an innocent baby? But I do want to like kill the Moor and his whole family.
And make him suffer.
Because he's like, he's done the worst possible thing he could do to my family consciously. Yeah. It's just so kind of, he is devoid of honor. And the Moor and so they're like, they're going to hang him. And, but they block the scene really well too, I think, because there is so much dialogue. And this is another scene where I feel like depending on how you play it, it could not reach the right crescendo at the right moment. Yeah. But there's a few times where like, we have you and we're going to kill you. And then it's like, wait, but we won't, or you're not dead yet, or we still give you time to make your speech. And then you have more to say. But like, so everyone's moving through this scene and like, he's getting marched up to his like noose to getting hung because they talk about killing him. But then he like jumps out of it. So like, there is a lot of, I just want to ping that if you watch this scene from this movie, or if you're like playing it, there is a ton of dialogue for somebody who's about to die. Yeah. And like conceivably, they would probably just have a little bit of dialogue, say their last words, and get killed. But he doesn't quite get killed here. but it seems like
But
he
part
might.
of that is because of how he's leveraging the situation, and there could be a lot of stagings where it's just static.
Exactly.
And that wouldn't work.
Exactly. Like, I think the fact that so people were moving throughout this scene the whole time, and they were doing actions that coincided with what they were saying, and that helped me crystallize what they meant.
The tectonic plates keep shifting.
Yeah. And so what he was saying was that, like, okay, so you have my baby, and you captured me, and you'll kill me, but I can tell you, like, secrets about the queen, and I still have, like, things that are bargaining chips for you to at least save my baby. I know you're gonna kill me, but save my innocent baby.
Yeah.
And he's also playing to his, like, to Lucius's, like, conscience. He's like, you are you a good man? Do you want to, like, you know, fucking
kill a baby?
My baby's innocent. Like, you know, I know he, like, and it really sucks because he probably does feel like. He probably feels like he has to argue for the fact that the baby's black, and he probably resents that.
Yeah.
Which is fucking awful. Again, he had. I know I didn't talk about the speech that he made to the twins, but he was just, like, so resentful of, like, the entire world of white people that he's living in that all resent black people for no reason.
Yes.
Which is so sad. Oh God.
It's heartbreaking.
So yeah, but, like, but they don't really lean into that side of this character, or Shakespeare doesn't. Shakespeare decides to go ahead and make him irredeemable. He was like, I killed 1,000 people, and my only regret is I couldn't kill 1,000 more. Like, he hates the world.
Yeah.
And he wants to watch it burn. He's the Joker, for sure. And like, as he does this, as he's, like, marching up to, like, put the own noose around his neck. Nobody needed to do it. He's like, he has the most agency in this play.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who knew what the rules were and decided his line, and it had a lot to do with being black. Which was like, which is fucking uncomfortable, but probably true.
Yeah.
Which was great. It was a great choice. It felt hard hitting no matter what.
Yeah.
But, like, they had the part of the way they did this blocking was that he put the noose around his neck, and then he had, like, more to say. So he went ahead at the end of it. He took him off this ladder and took the roof back around his neck and jumped onto Lucius and, like, tried to strangle him too,
great.
as he said the last line. And I imagine the stage direction is not clear for that in the text,
right?
So they people can decide to play it however they want.
Yeah,
but that was a great way to play it. And
Me too.
And Lucius was like, "Fuck this motherfucker, shut him up!" And so they, like, knock him out, and then we can move on to the next scene.
Yeah.
But they don't kill him yet. They're just like, stop him talking, because he's, like, speaking shit that's a little too true.
And he's scaring us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's scaring me. And which is crazy. Like,
which is what he intended.
With his words, scaring this entire army of soldiers who's against him.
Yeah.
Which is what truth has power to do.
Which I feel like...
Well, he wasn't saying shit that was witchy. He was, like, kind of just saying shit that was scary.
No, and he was saying stuff that was scary, and I think that was his intention, which makes me wonder, like, is any of what he's saying true, or is he just feeling like, this is the agency I have left, so I'm gonna scare you because that's what I can do?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he was, like, because he was about to die, and he had already bartered for his son's life.
Yeah.
So it was like, my son's safe, cool.
Now I can do.
And, like, I'm about to die, and I feel like Shakespeare probably, and it's probably even a proverb somewhere, like, the most honest person is somebody who's about to die. What do they have left to lose?
Yeah.
And he revealed, he really only he didn't reveal anything, like, vulnerable. He revealed his spite for the world, which was revealing, I think, in an indirect sense.
Yeah.
I think he was spiteful for a world that was spiteful against him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Which is so sad and depressing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, but also, like, you know, it made for fucking great theater. So.
Yeah. And I also think whether it's literally true or not that he's like, I killed 1,000 people, it's clear that it's true that he despises the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes it clear that it's because the world despises him.
Yeah, it made it his such fucking, like, oily speech when he was talking to the twins, when he was holding his baby, and he was so mad at them. He was like, it was just dripping with spite and rage and resentment that, like, he's looking at his baby and he's like, this is me. This is what I was. I was innocent, and everybody fucking hated me because I was black.
Yeah.
And oh my God, he played that so well, and it was heartbreaking because I didn't get the resentment I'm supposed to have against him for being the villain. All I got was sympathy.
Yes.
Because it's like when you hear a screaming child that is mad for something that you understand why they're mad, you know that they're not evil.
You get it.
You just get that they're mad, and it's like when someone's raging in a tantrum, and you just like go, oh,
yeah,
that's what I felt.
Yeah.
So I felt like that's what it was trying to make me feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I hope. I wonder if I'm sure everybody had the same kind of like aim, but like it did a great job, and I imagine that could easily be missed. I feel like he could easily just be like a one-dimensional villain.
Me too.
If you play it like that.
I agree.
Back to Titus now, and again, he's still been existing. Probably some time has passed. I
think that's a good way to put it. He's still been existing.
He's been just trying to deal with shit, and he's like in this beautifully shot scene where he's just like in a bath.
Yeah.
He's drawing a bath for himself.
It's very Marat.
Marat?
There's a painting.
I was gonna say it felt like a painting.
It's like I think it's a French painting. That's The Death of Marat. That's about this guy who dies in a bathtub, and it reminded me of that really specifically.
I bet you it was. It was.
I'm sure it was.
Quite purposefully, dramatically shot like that.
Yeah.
And he has this. Not soliloquy, but he's just kind of like, I guess it is soliloquy, but it doesn't feel like he's talking to the camera to say his intentions. He's like, just kind of like talking about his sorrows and like the things that's happened. And he's like, yeah, it's like, I feel like soliloquies talk about always like kind of intentions for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And he's more summing up, or he's like very like,
he's just feeling
sad. Yeah, he's just kind of being in the moment. Like it's something that somebody might actually do in the bathtub if they've been through this.
Yeah.
And it's pretty long. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I wrote like crazy now, and I'm not really sure what's happening. But as we get to the end of it, he looks out the window, and now he sees a fucking insane sight.
Yeah,
and we're getting towards the end here. It's like ramping up towards the end, and so just to mark where we're at, but he sees. What's the queen's name again?
Tamara.
Tamara in this ridiculous costume. And I also wrote hijinks? Like,
right.
Because I'm like, this seems like it's supposed to be funny.
It is.
And like, this is like, only because, oh God, it's like, this is where Julie's a genius, because if this play was played only dramatically and never funny and have no surrealism in it, this would not have worked.
Yes.
Because this is crazy, because the queen is dressed up as murder, as
she's revenge,
as a god, yeah,
she's
revenge, as the quote unquote god of revenge, as if you already know that, and her sons are with her, also dressed up in ridiculous costumes as rape and murder.
Yeah.
And they're outside his bathroom window, and he's like. Because, again, they think he's crazy, and this is part of the quote-unquote deep game he's been playing, that, like, I'm crazy now, and they'll think that he's crazy. And so...
And they look ridiculous, which is the ironic
stupid. Part. She has, like, a weird, like Statue of Liberty crown, but instead of, like, the spikes, it's, like, literal kitchen knives.
Yeah.
And, like, her face is painted like Furiosa, like, the top half is, like, tar black, and, like, they've... They all took the time to get ready in the mirror and then looked each other down and were like, that's good. Let's go.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because it makes sense within the world that Julie Taymor has built. Because
exactly. It's a swing for the fences, and honestly, a very stupid one.
Yeah, and it's the capital kind of fashion. Extreme and decadent and all of that. And also the pride that they have is on display in this moment. They're prideful enough to think... that Titus did fall apart and that he is mad and that they're smarter than him, especially now.
Yeah.
And that something as ridiculous as this would actually work. And so to us as the audience, it's funny, which is great because we have a moment of comic relief. And it also makes sense within the story.
Yeah. And the movie didn't specifically, like... try to make it hilarious. Like, it didn't turn into a comedy movie for this.
Yeah.
But it smelled of hijinks.
Yes.
And it was I knew I knew not to expect it to be serious.
Yeah.
If that's clear enough.
That makes sense.
At least that happened, so I was able to like kind of just accept it and go from there.
Yeah.
So then he's like, who the fuck are you? And they're like, I'm revenge. And like the one their fun son's like, I'm rape. And I'm like, I'm murder. He's like, cool. I'm crazy, so this is great. And he's like, goes outside and like in his bathrobe, and he's like, all right, so, you know, like, what are you doing? But he's like leaning into it more than they are. So they're like, well, you know, I can't remember her specific goal in this, but I have a feeling they want to just kind of gain his favor to like see what he knows about her baby. Like, what? Why do they do this again?
Oh God, I can't remember. I think as the plot unfolds more, I'll remember, but I can't remember right now.
I'm pretty sure like the only reason, like, she has all the power. She's the queen now. So like, and she had a baby, but now the baby's gone with the Moor.
Right.
So it's unclear to me. Like, I thought I kind of knew at the moment, but like now it's kind of unraveling as I'm remembering it. But
I can't remember. I know there's a reason, but I can't remember why.
The only bargaining chip or only like anything anybody could possibly have against her is that she has a baby that the king is seemingly not asked to see, who is supposed to be his heir.
I mean, at the time, babies would have died all the time, so she could have just been like, "It died."
Sure. And he is like, I mean, she seemingly has no reason to like try to fool him into doing anything because he has no power. But that's the only like a reason I could think is that she assumed he knew something about the baby because the baby was gone.
It's not about the baby. Okay. I know that.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm not really sure, but she feels like she needs to. Is it like revenge? Like, is the people still love him and he's...
I think maybe part of it is, I feel like there's a specific reason I'm forgetting about maybe, but it's, I think part of it is about scoping him out and seeing A, if he's trying to look for revenge, and B, how he might go about it so they can prepare for it.
Maybe, yeah.
I think that's maybe what
they're
it's
trying
about.
to be proactive and like probing for what his intentions. And so they decide... But again, the surrealist elements of this made me buy it, and I can't fully explain why. But like if you watch it, the way they played it, like I was in for it.
Totally, and I think there's a certain ambiguity that like if you're watching this on a blank stage, you kind of don't know if they're real or if they're actually the goddess of revenge, and so her making it kind of surreal in that moment made you get that kind of feeling. But through film. Yeah. I think.
I agree. Because the way they first introduced her was if it was a dream.
Right.
And I was like,
Titus mad?
And I was like, real? And I was like, is he crazy now?
Right.
Like he saw, like the way the movie showed it is that he saw a goddess like in clouds and shit. But it was the same actress as the queen.
Yeah, so and then it becomes real.
Exactly.
Then it's him outside.
And then it turns out that they were just standing outside.
With the ridiculous costumes. Which is funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
It is funny, like, as you break it down. But,
and it should be funny.
The movie was, like, kind of half there.
I feel like that was fair. Right, too, though. I don't think it should be, like, LOL funny. Yeah. I think it should be, like, it
was still very, like, kind of just, like, unhinged. I can't describe it. It felt like, oh, someone's trying to tell me this is funny. Like a weird kind of clown sequence.
Like a weird nightmare, maybe?
Like Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
Like, it's surreal, and it's, like, in a vaguely positive, slapsticky, happy way, but it's not, like,
I'm not
funny.
Overtly happy.
It's not funny. It's just, like, crazy.
Yeah. Man, I watched Moulin Rouge when I was in middle school at a sleepover, and I was so tired. I was like half asleep.
Only time? Did you feel like you were having a bad dream?
Yeah.
That's what that movie feels like.
That's what it felt like. I was already like half asleep. It was weird. It was stressful.
I don't like it.
I don't know if I like it because it just felt like I had a nightmare that was Moulin Rouge.
I'm waiting for a YouTube video essay to convince me that I like it.
I'll make it. Be like, hey guys, like and subscribe.
But at the moment, I don't like it. I'm not shooting on YouTube video essays. I love those. That's like basically all I follow on YouTube.
It's true.
Anyway.
I can attest.
Chloe likes them too.
Am I the video YouTube essay for Shakespeare?
Pretty much. But it's not as concise. It takes 3 hours to unpack it.
Shut
up! So yeah, hijinks ? And then then he leans more into it than they do. It's like, hey, we're your friends, we're gods. And he's like, sweet, and he like embraces them, and he's like, you're gods, will come fucking have dinner with me. He's like, oh shit, we didn't plan on all this.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and she's like, well, we'll leave. And he's like, no. If rape and murder are your friends, like I need those guys. I want them to rape and murder the queen. And like, and I feel like he seems like he's crazy like a fox at this point. He's like, he knows she's the queen.
That's when it becomes clear.
So he's like, oh, well, I'll, like, your revenge, I need revenge against the queen. And she's like, well, this is going great then, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Great. He's totally convinced.
But like, we have to keep the bit going, and we can't, like, not do what he says.
Commit to the bit.
Exactly. They're like, they just gave up their entire hand to commit to this bit. And he's like, well, okay, queen, okay, revenge, you leave, but I'll take rape and murder because I got some raping and murdering to do, so you guys come with me.
Come help me.
And then the queen and her, like, trade, like, a nervous look, and they're like, okay.
She's like, is it cool if I leave you here? They're like, yeah, we got this.
Yeah.
We're great.
And she leaves, and they do the same thing that they did to Boston Market and Lavinia at the beginning. They're like, okay, the queen's gone. All right, everybody, come out and let's fucking take them.
Right.
And then in the next scene is like they're hung up like cattle waiting to be slaughtered.
Yeah.
They're like naked and
by
stuff.
their ankles.
And then he brings Lavinia.
Hannibal Lecter.
he
out of his soul.
That's exactly what happens. He suddenly reprises his 1991 performance of
This
Silence
is why
of the Lambs,
he was cast.
and he goes, "Hello, Clarice."
Yeah. Almost. It's great. It's perfect for that
Anthony
moment.
Hopkins is the perfect. He understands menacing characters like to no extent, to no end.
And it makes me believe he's a general in general.
Get out of here.
I can't. I live here.
He like his laser focus comes back suddenly. It snaps back into place, and he brings Lavinia in, and he says, like, come relish in your revenge.
Yeah.
And then he unceremoniously, without any like huge like spectacle, like villains that do. There's villains that do monologuing and like want to like savor the moment.
Yeah.
None of that. Slits their throats and lets them bleed out like fucking cattle. And it is just, it's so soldier-like.
Yeah.
It's so efficient. It was super real.
Yeah.
But also like super like the makeup and the blood packs they had.
Yeah.
They had just like running the like if you slit the carotid and carotid artery, yeah, that it would just like pour down your face. It was fucking like visceral. I don't know how to say. It was quite dramatic, and they just bled out. And like it was so funny. All I kept thinking is that like this isn't Lavinia. Like that's all I could think is that like he did this for her, but he did this for him, and she was unequipped to deal with not only her trauma, but she's not a revenge person either.
No, she's not a soldier either. She hasn't seen blood.
She's not capable of relishing revenge.
No,
like he might.
It's not who she is.
It's not in her toolkit of like emotions.
Yeah, and even with him, it doesn't really feel like he's relishing in it. It just feels like
it does. It feels like he's. It feels like he is, like drinking salt water.
Huh.
It feels like he is dying of thirst and drinking salt water. It feels like he.
That's a good analogy.
It feels like his guilt is bottomless as well as his sorrow, and he is trying, and this is the only way he knows to like gain points against his enemy is kill them because he's a soldier. And so he kills them, and he wants it to work, but it's not working. Dude. And this is part of the unhingedness I'm talking about. But I'm not saying it. Shakespeare's saying it, and Julie is saying it, and I'm just noticing it, and it's amazing.
I'm just really happy that that's what you're noticing in this. It's just really exciting for me. I feel like part of me in this podcast is just sitting back and going, yeah.
When we see good ones,
That's what it is. Yeah, it's just, I mean, every once in a while being like, yeah. Because I just feel like the thing that excites me about this piece is that it speaks for itself, and I don't need to speak for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that I agree. It had enough of its own. It had enough of its own voice for the fact for us to see things different ways and see different parts of it.
Yeah.
As opposed to me just barely trying to understand what's going on and you having to fill in a lot of the gaps.
I think that's a fantastic point to make about revenge in general too. Is that it's like drinking salt water when you're dying of thirst.
Yeah.
Because it's exactly it. Your sorrow and your grief are bottomless, and nothing is gonna fix that. And I think too, people always think this play is about revenge. I think revenge is an aspect of this play. I don't think it's about revenge.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think it's about the thing we said in the beginning.
Yeah.
Which is so funny. Like, I didn't even, like... I know revenge is, like, the whole point of it, but, like, it didn't even, like, mostly... like, I don't even think it's, like, even a little bit about revenge.
No, I don't either. I think it's an element. I don't
Yeah.
think it's about revenge at all.
I think...
And the other thing that and we're getting towards the end here, so I feel comfortable saying this. Like, people are always excited about, like, or not excited about. They think of it as like a B-level Shakespeare play, or like a less hoity-toity pretentious Shakespeare play, because they look at the body count, which is the highest of any Shakespeare play, of like, you know, characters we know.
I can't believe that.
I know, and they think that he was just doing it because, you know, people like a bloodbath, people like, you know, when there's blood on stage and when there's violence on stage, and it's so much deeper than that.
Yeah.
And it always has been. And it's not just because Julie Taymor is brilliant. It's also because Shakespeare's brilliant.
I believe it.
And if either one of those two people, if Shakespeare had been, you know, just making a play about, like, let's just fucking kill everybody, or if Julie Taymor had thought it was about that, or hadn't gotten it, or, you know, had gotten distracted by something, this production would not be what it is. And I think that's the other thing, too, is, like, Shakespeare isn't just about the text. It's about the marrying of the text with the people performing it, creating it, doing it now.
For sure. He wrote a play, not a book.
Yeah, exactly. So, so this just feels like a match made in heaven, and bottom line, it's not just a bloodbath.
Seconded, for sure.
Yeah. It even shows restraint sometimes. Like, we don't see, like, all of the things that happen to Lavinia on stage. We see the aftermath.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's trying to talk about.
A lot of times we only see the aftermath.
Right. We don't see Tamara's first son getting killed, because what's important is the effect it has on her.
Yeah. It's not that, like, violent pornography. It's like,
No.
it's about what that means.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think this play was gory when it needed to be, or when it served a purpose.
I gotta be honest, I think a younger me, because, you know, I am someone who, I'm a fight choreographer, I like intense stakes in a play. Like, I might have been someone, when I first read this play, when I was, like, you know, 15, who would have been like, well, why don't we just kill the son on stage? Like, why are we killing him off stage? It would be so much more interesting if we get to see that, and we have something else to choreograph, and we can have another blood bag. But it's nice to feel like maybe I've grown in that way, or that I have more perspective on the storytelling, or that I'm deferring to the storytelling over, like, blood bag.
Witness me, blood bag.
Witness me. So, yeah.
Also, if you haven't seen
It's
Mad
just
Max
interesting.
with Tom Hardy, go see it. Anyway.
If they haven't seen it, have they been living under a rock?
Probably. In the
That's
desert.
okay.
In the desert in Australia.
It's okay. Shh, 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 shh. That's true.
So we now get to the final scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, I was wondering, it's in contest, the final scene and the scene where the crossroads happens, when he's, like, begging everybody to not kill his sons.
Yeah.
Which is the best scene in the play.
God.
Or best scene in this movie. I lied. But as I'm coming to it, it's all building to this. So this scene has the biggest pop. So it's the scene. This is the best scene in the fucking movie. And the movie's 2 hours and 45 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes. You getting goddamn dessert. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Everything about it, like the surrealism, the time ambiguity, the you know, just the stakes of the play, where they've, like Anthony Hopkins' unhingedness, the way he plays it, everything about it is the best. The cinematography
comes together.
It is one of the best payoffs I've ever seen. I felt bad because I was saying it the whole, as we were watching it, like, it's very Game of Thrones, and I keep having to remember, and you corrected me, like, no, Game of Thrones is this, and I'm like, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. It's exactly
no, and I'm not
what's
saying
happening.
that's bad. I think it's great that they use that, because it's something it's such a great image.
Yeah, it's
very clear. It's not subtle.
For sure. So we get to the last scene, and so now what's important to remember is that the old Lucius going to go fight and be king of the Goths is important now because that's paying off. Because I know they now marched on Rome, and Rome has to like they're a strong enough power that Rome has to accommodate and at least entertain what they want.
Yes.
So they decide if they want to have another war with them. They have to decide what's going on. So now they're having like this cordial meeting, and so now everything is turned on its head. The Queen of the Goths is now Queen of Rome. And now the son of the general of the Roman army is now the king of the Goths. So that's my point about like everything turning on its head in the beginning.
Yeah.
And how the rules, you know, they're like it's like another facet to the idea of like what would you do, or where do your loyalties lie as far as like the rules of your civilization and your society.
Yeah.
And
when do you break the rules?
Where's your line? Yeah. And so certain people had no choice, but other people have like they've decided to literally join a different government.
Yeah.
So like I mean it's not necessarily like a one-to-one or like a clear like what this means, but it's a very interesting aspect to consider when you're thinking about those things.
Yeah.
So King of the Goths, old Lucius is like sitting at a negotiation table, and they're not really like negotiating, they're like having a dinner, and they're kind of like trying to break bread. It's like part of the tradition. And who walks into this meeting is Anthony Hopkins in a fully pristine white chef's outfit, complete with a French top hat, as if he's fucking about to star in Ratatouille.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It is so darkly funny. I'm all about it. I like audibly gasped when I saw that shit. He like opens the door and he's like, "I'm here, bitches."
Yes.
It's great.
And so then he's followed by the little boy too.
He is followed
pushes
by the
out
little
the
boy.
cart.
Yes. He's like his little fucking helper. He's the rat. He's Ratatouille.
He's the rat in Ratatouille. Anyone can cook.
And so he comes out and he serves them all food. And so it's a little bit, you have to like, I guess, buy the stakes and the tension of what is going on, that these are two opposing countries on the brink of war.
Yeah.
That have to, you know, like respect all the, because like neither one of them clearly want it. Like they both stand to lose a lot from the war, but they both want to gain something. So they both like, it's a very tense dinner. And so neither one of them want to like refuse anything or have an outburst or like ruin the dinner, thus saying that they don't want peace. Like that's an important part of why people do what they do next.
Yes.
And so that's something that was like a little unclear to me, but we kind of had already a conversation that you reminded me that that's the stakes.
Yeah.
That's important to realize.
It's a negotiation.
That's important to realize. A negotiation, but not as we understand it today. So anyway, so Anthony Hopkins.
Or not as we understand it about where we're going to eat dinner.
Well, I mean, like negotiations don't always happen like over dinner. Like the
right.
Social actions mean different things in this time than they would in our time.
Yeah.
So anyway, Anthony Hopkins is like serving up the place, and everybody knows it's weird, and the situational irony is palpable, but he is still serving everybody this food, and I think he doesn't serve Lucius, which is important.
No, he doesn't.
And then everyone's like sitting there waiting, and he's like, Anthony Hopkins is like, he's what's the word I'm looking for?
So it's the other thing too is like it's the queen and it's Saturninus, but it's also the senators that all walked by him.
Yes.
And he was on the road.
Yes.
So that's who's there.
It is a long table full of powerful
senators,
people.
yeah.
And like half of them are from Rome and half of them are from the Goth country. Or at least a good portion of them are from the Goth country.
I don't know if that's true. Anyway.
Right?
I'm just not sure.
Yeah, anyway, for the purposes of the movie, most of them are nameless. The only people we actually know is Lucius, Saturninus, and God damn it, what's her name?
Lucius, Saturninus, and the queen?
Yeah.
Tamara.
Tamara. It's a little late for me
Boston Market.
to really be remembering your name.
I really like Boston
but
Market.
I'm giving it a shot. I'm trying.
R.I.P. Boston Market.
And so those are the only ones we know, and like he serves everybody but Lucius. And then as they're eating it, they're all clearly having problems with the meat, and they're like their faces are like, this isn't very good, but if we can't spit it out, otherwise it's saying we don't want peace. So it's like that's the reason why I pinged that peace thing.
Yeah.
And then fucking Anthony Hopkins is just like so boisterous. He's on cloud nine. He's dancing, he's skipping, he's performing, he's a chef, he's just like
he's a
like
host.
he might as well be like doing ballet.
Yes.
Like as he's spitting out his lines about like how wonderful this is and this is great. And then we find out
he tells
them it is
this
very
is the
much
big reveal of the whole play.
If you've seen The Help, he's Minnie as he tells the white lady, "Eat my shit." He's like,
and he says,
and he's wait, he said, I don't remember. I don't know exactly the quote.
I don't know the quote either.
Basically says, "Your sons are what you're eating." He's Anthony Hopkins
you
is Arya.
are eating your sons.
Anthony Hopkins is Arya, and right at this moment, she's Walder Frey.
Yes.
And she's eating his boys, and she's like, "Oh fuck!" And then he just immediately has this wonderfully crazy, just manic like dance.
Yes.
That he like does, and the camera follows him perfectly, laser focused on him as his face is just like manically happy as he dances towards his revenge.
Yeah.
And he grabs a fucking knife and sticks it through her neck, Red Wedding style.
Mm-hmm.
And she's dead as shit. And then now everybody finds their line. And Saturninus, who is Alan Cumming, grabs a candle holder and fucking stabs Anthony Hopkins with the candle holder. And Anthony Hopkins' son is like, "Fuck this." And then he grabs Saturninus and drags him across the entire table. And again, this camera work is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's laser focused on both of them as he slides them across this 12 fucking foot table and
Dude,
all the way to the end.
This is what we've been waiting for 2.5 goddamn hours. We're getting it.
Dessert is here, guys.
Yes.
And he grabs
it's sons. That's the dessert.
Yeah. He grabs a serving spoon and just fucking shoves it into Alan Cummings' mouth, and the cut is so visceral. How they cut around it, but like they do a really good job of like
shoves
making
it down his throat.
They take the time to like have the shot from the right angle of like him like shoving it down his fucking throat, and he just does it, and he just chokes on the serving spoon. So it's a Red Wedding happening right now.
And it also speaks to like the decadence again. Like like
I'll kill you with the shit that you've been like having parties with all the time. Yeah.
He's taking in so much. He's taking so much. Like he wants to digest and eat everything.
That's
now he gets to.
That's a piece of symbolism that I like. Those shit goes over my head.
It's great, and it's not even specifically in the text that happens.
Yeah,
so that was great. That was all Julie.
I was certain that was all Julie's choice. Like I don't imagine that Shakespeare wrote down fucking like kill him with a candle holder and like shove it in her fucking mouth.
They fight. Mercutio falls.
Yeah.
That's what we got.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I loved the way this got played out, and I loved everything. Like they removed the cultural backdrop of settings of places that already exist.
Yeah.
For the blank canvas of building your own set.
Yeah.
So they could point to where they wanted to point. And that would be terrible if a director didn't have a vision, but because Julie's vision is so specific, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It is a masterpiece. I have no qualms saying that about this movie.
She shoved everything aside, all the bullshit, everything, and made a specific target and aimed and fired, and she got a bullseye.
Yeah. And sometimes like it just the value of purposeful shooting and purposeful choices it's huge. Is even if the choices aren't like great, or if they don't do a lot of what you thought it should do, the clarity and the distillation of just having choices for everything will sometimes shine through.
Yeah, sometimes you end up with something different. That's a
theory I'm positing. I could be wrong, but like that's what I think.
Sometimes you end up with something different than what you thought, but you're gonna end up with something.
Yeah, you made a pass at every single aspect of this play.
Yeah, you're creating a path through something or to something, and you don't always end up where you thought you were gonna end up, but you end up somewhere new.
Yeah, and something about that is just true.
Yeah. I can't even begin to describe how cathartic watching this was for me. Just. In the sense, of this play has great catharsis in it, and it was so well done, but also in the sense of...
I just have to put something... Continue. I'm sorry. Continue.
I was just gonna say, it's just what I'm trying to do. You know,
Yeah.
it's something that it's like trying to accomplish something that you don't know if it can be accomplished or if it feels like a fool's errand. But then you see someone else do it, and it's so inspiring. It's so deeply inspiring because it's like what I'm working for doesn't feel like it's in vain. And I hope that doesn't sound too self-centered or too self-serving or anything like that, because I know it's a very small plot of land and a very niche thing that I'm looking at, and this is my little small corner of the world, but it's something that's like super important to me and that I care about. And you know, I'm trying not to be like Titus and have it mean everything to me, and have it be my structure, but I do feel like it's something I care about a lot, and to have it work out is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, like you, like during that scene where, you know, he was walking past all those senators, like it hit you so hard that somebody could like see this vision. I felt like I pardon me for the comparison I'm drawing and how crazy it sounds, but I feel like the amount of catharsis is probably the same. It's as if you had seen like UFOs and you've been telling everybody for years.
That is what it felt like.
And then finally aliens actually come and you'd be like, see, I'm not crazy.
It did feel like that. It did.
And I get it. Like I get it enough because I've been there on that journey with you. Like I've heard you talk about how influential and how relevant and how good these plays are. And every time we have and I have all these my questions and my criticisms pile up.
Yeah, and I go, I get it. I totally get it.
Exactly. And it feels like every time you're just making excuses.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that you're not making bad faith ones or bad faith arguments. Like I believe that it was out there somewhere, but until we find them, it's like it's like, whoa, like you were right, but I had no idea how right you were until I saw it.
Right, because I've seen theatrical productions that have done that before, but you can't go back and see those.
Exactly.
I feel like I can point to this for anyone and say, watch this.
Yeah,
go watch this.
Exactly. And I had, like, not misgivings, but like I'm like a little worried about like having this podcast be mostly done with film, but it is useful to be able to have that accessible to anybody at any time.
I agree.
Like, film is much more archival, so it's like
at the very least right now
fundamentally archival, but like
right.
it can serve as a great example.
Yeah.
Without the small percentage of people who may listen to this or not that live in the same city at the same time and listen to it like soon enough after it comes out to still see the same production.
Because we can talk about it in general, or we can tell them what we think they were trying to do versus what what tools they could have employed to maybe make it better, or like they did this and it really worked because probably of this and this, but they can't see that in action, and they can see this in action. And right now it's out of necessity because, we're in quarantine. But I think it's really useful in general. And I'm kind of glad that we were forced to start this way, because I think it gives us it'll give us a really great jumping off point in terms of what we can point to and say, like this or not like this,
Yeah. Well,
but this is more useful.
Yeah. Or and like this in a way that this is accessible to people.
Yeah.
Like the proverbial this. Like
because they could be like what?
Exactly. So like we didn't know what we wanted to make this as we started, but as it's like it's just going to evolve partially as it goes. We had a good, I think, seed, and we're trying to figure out what that's going to grow into. But yeah, that using film as a reference wasn't necessarily our aim, but the fact that that's happening is like in a lot of ways it's fundamentally much more functional that everyone can see the films that we're talking about.
It definitely helps.
I mean, I would in a perfect world I would think this would function as a good template of things to think about from watching a play too. But I like that you can reference the movie.
Me too. God, I love this movie so much.
Yeah,
I feel like
dude, I'm not even joking. It is. I watch a shitload of movies, and I have a very conservative disposition when it comes to like putting ones in like among my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I could give you a top 10, but like, dude, this is in the top 10. Yeah. Easily.
Same.
It's so good. If I didn't know it was Shakespeare, I would still love it.
Yeah.
And like, and I think that's the argument. That's your premise for this podcast and for like your life.
It's my thesis statement. It's my super objective, as actors would say.
So we got to wrap it up. So this movie it's almost over.
Hey, I got a great way to wrap it up. Let's talk about the little boy.
I mean, I have this last thing of a list of things that happen in the movie.
Oh, more things happen?
Do you want to?
I guess more things do happen. I mean, once they eat the sons, I'm like, yes! You're right, more things happen.
Like season 3 of Game of Thrones ends, and then nothing else happens. And
that's how it should say, yeah.
Season 8 never happens.
Thank you!
So, they have the war meeting, and then, I love also the comedy of the fact that when Anthony Hopkins walks in with his chef's hat, Italian music is just blaring.
Of course.
It is all part of the comedy, and it works so well.
It's amazing.
But I also forgot to mention that before he does anything, he brings in Lavinia with her fucking hands.
Yeah.
And her sadness.
And it's not he doesn't drag her in there. She walks to him.
But she walks in like she's walking to her funeral, what she is. She walks in like it's a procession.
But I really like that because sometimes people play it as like Titus surprises her and kills her without her consent.
That's stupid.
I know.
It's so funny when I see these good ones where like it's a good one that I've seen for the first time. Again, it seems obvious that that's the choice.
I know.
It seems obvious.
I know.
And when I hear that people play things like the opposite way, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And so I know I'm like sheltered in my bubble of like, I saw the good one first.
Right.
But I'm like, I don't know. I don't see any other way that it makes sense.
I know. This is my whole life, Paul. Welcome to my world.
So she walks in, and again, it makes so much sense that they've been playing her as like broken since that happened.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't it break? Who wouldn't it break?
Right.
Killed your lover, chopped out your tongue, killed your hands, raped you fucking how many times? Who wouldn't it break?
Right.
So he basically like says like, see, they've eaten her kids. Like, you've gotten your revenge. I've given it to you. And she feels like, doesn't seem cathartic. She doesn't seem like, I'm happy I can die now.
She seems like, I just want it to be over.
She's like, I want this to be over. Like, thanks, Dad. Like, whatever.
Because the other thing,
like,
too,
I've been broken since this happened to me.
There's a terrible, terrible thing that the two guys say to her when they're about to leave her, which is like, you can't even kill yourself because you couldn't tie up the rope or hold the knife. And so she has to, the only way she can die is with the help of Titus.
Mm-hmm.
And they set it up too, like that she can communicate with him and he knows what she wants. Yeah, because they communicate.
In the
which is also
way back in the scene where they were just living and having dinner together. Like, he does like decipher some simple thing that she wants, and he was like, don't worry, like I'll learn how to speak your language, and like I'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in his like boisterous, like almost like joyous, unhinged way. Mm-hmm. And so he's been that way since.
But it does feel very empathetic because they've both lost so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like at that point too, like Marcus doesn't really get them, but they get each other.
Yeah. And I commend this movie for like making a path of that for sure.
Yeah.
We just didn't cover it because it's probably 4 hours of talking about it.
Yeah.
So again, like, and he's like, you know, caressing her, like, you know, like I've, you know, given you your revenge. Here you go. And he like whispers to her, and he's like still like in his happy mood, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. And so he fucking snaps her neck, and everybody is like before he actually starts killing anybody, she comes in and he
it's the first thing that happens.
Fucking snaps her neck,
clearly out
and everybody
of the ordinary.
is like, "What's happening?" And everybody's now on edge, and that's before his like dancing to his revenge before he kills the queen.
Yeah, and he's like, "You ate your sons."
Yeah, it is a wondrous scene. Even if you just look up on YouTube and look up that scene, it will probably make you want to watch the movie because it is that good.
But the build up to it is so good too.
It's worth it. It's worth it if you just go watch the whole movie.
Yeah.
Even if you've listened to this before and you know what's going to happen, it's still worth it.
It's still worth it because I knew what was going to happen in this movie.
We're going to watch this movie again next week.
Dude, I would totally watch it again next week.
It's that good.
It's so good.
So they've now everyone's dead, and the last person that in the musical chairs of death is the old Lucius.
Yeah.
Young Lucius is still alive, but old Lucius is like, they're like, well, all our royalty is dead, and you are of Rome, and you're king of the Goths, so why don't you be king of Rome too?
Yeah.
You king everything. Sure. Lucius, you should be king.
You died.
Yeah, you're king.
And made you king of everything.
They straight up like
it's very Fortinbras.
They straight. It's very Fortinbras, but he's already there. He's
yeah,
been there the whole time. So they basically say, you're like they montage it away. They're just like, he's king, and now they're back in the Colosseum that they started in.
Yeah, it turns out the whole dinner scene, they like zoom out and
yeah,
it's in the Colosseum.
It's surreal again. They have this whole
crazy.
thing, and
it
like
was so cool.
This huge banquet that was in this like room is now the same banquet set up in the old Colosseum, and with now full of people.
Yeah, it was a feat that they got this movie made in the locations and with the people they did. I'm pretty sure those were all extras that are citizens of Rome today.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And they're all, they're like looking on to this like travesty.
Yeah.
And now funeral mixed with an inauguration, all in one.
Yeah.
And it was just so good, and like, and it is funny the transition from that like actual scene when they were in the banquet to the back to the old scene, which I'm sure was filmed on the same day that Anthony Hopkins made his speech at the beginning.
Yeah,
it was very limited graphically. It was very like they had to do like a zoom and like a weird like 12 frames per second slow motion.
Yeah.
And a weird kind of like these color palette things where they were just kind of like, like blah blah, like and we're here.
1999.
And I'm like, I felt very thankful that they were limited. So they had to make everything practical, and they had to have a choice for everything, as opposed to be like, well, fix it in post.
Right.
Which is very popular when you have a budget and when you can do stuff. And I know, like, again, knowing Julie did Across the Universe, I have every confidence that if she had the budget and the time, that she would have made good choices.
With Tempest.
But not with Tempest, but I mean with this.
Yeah.
If she had the budget and the time, and now with the technology of today. I'm saying...
with modern tech, too.
Yeah, with modern tech. No, Tempest did not work out well. But I mean, like...
No, I thought you were going to say, like, if she'd had the time and the budget, like,
I'm saying I found myself thankful for this, that they didn't have that, so they had to show everything practically, because if you get it in camera, it will be what it is in camera, as opposed to saying we'll fix it in post and like trying to make it work in the edit.
Yeah.
And I just found myself being very thankful, because I feel like this could have been the wrong way. I'm saying that's a general like fear and a difficult thing to navigate. I'm saying Julie has navigated it with Across the Universe, so I am confident that she may have made some good choices here, but I'm just happy that like when it was filmed, like they fucking got it. Like it seemed like such a sacred thing to me. It's like when you just passed the most difficult level in a game that you just fucking made, and you get to the point where you can save the game, and you just feel like, oh, we can breathe again. We fucking made it. Like they recorded it, and it was in camera, and there's no way they could fuck that scene up.
Right.
Because it was so good. Yeah. Everything about it was so fucking good. So anyway, I'm sorry. It's gonna be an 8-hour podcast.
Yeah.
But he has a speech about, how
Lucius
we got
does.
here. Old Lucius, who is now king of everything, has a speech, and
I shouldn't say old, middle-aged Lucius.
Late 20s probably. Lucius
Probably
has a speech.
Older than young Lucius.
Kind of summing up the play about, I don't remember the language. It seemed like a very somber speech. In my memory, it is Lucius gives somber speech.
Yeah.
And they haven't killed the Moor yet, because they didn't kill him from last time. But they go ahead and bury him in the Colosseum, and they were like, we'll bury him armpit deep and we'll starve him. And as he's getting buried, he just has a look into the camera, and then he looks away. Like a very not like a knowing, like funny look.
No.
Like he is contemplating his death.
Yeah.
And he just catches the camera for like a half a second.
Yeah.
And he like continues like looking on. And I think it was a really great choice to have young Lucius, who is our like guide, who is dressed in, again, modern clothing, pick up the Moor's baby, and just like walk off into the sunset.
They left.
They left, and it's like a the credits don't start rolling all over this. I thought they would, but like they walk off into the sunset for like a good minute of in slow motion of them just like, I feel like they're the only two innocent characters.
Yep.
And it's just, and it was a daisy chain of you killed my dad, so I'll kill your son. So I'll kill your son. So and it was a daisy chain of like revenge. And they're the only two ones that have any hope of salvaging a relationship or salvaging their innocence.
Yeah.
And it was a great choice.
I agree. I think a lot of times people don't quite know what to do with young Lucius because in the play he shows up in like act 4 or 5, but towards the end of the play. And suddenly there's just a kid here. Like, where did this kid come from? We don't know what to do with him. And I think that you're right, he is supposed to represent innocence. And by the same token, we don't really know, we don't find out what happened to Aaron's kid. And putting them together at the end as the symbols of innocence, because that is what they are, is brilliant. And so then if you draw that line all the way back to the beginning, I mean, the kid and him being the way we get into this story, to me, it makes it feel like we can approach this and therefore we can approach the story and therefore relearn about war with a kind of childlike perspective and innocence. And I feel like that, to me, is our journey through the play as the audience. Because it helps us learn about all the facets of that, of the illusion of state, of the illusion of government, of the illusion of structure, and also the illusion of masculinity in some ways, or at least in the sense of like a certain aggressive side of that, and how that like needs to be a part of who you are if you're a man, or
I would say the illusion of identity.
Like yeah, the illusion of identity in general.
Yeah.
And I think that because we're approaching this play from his perspective, we're given permission to relearn, and we're given permission to be open to whatever this story might have to tell us. And I think that, you know, him starting out with all these toys that are about war, all of these toys are like how we are kind of conditioned and how we grow up, at least, you know, maybe in the USA or maybe in modern society, or, you know, whatever, however you want to frame it.
I mean, it was a 90s American boy.
Yeah, right.
Like that, like the context was clear enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, looking at it from that perspective and saying, oh, that is how we grew up, or that is what we were told, and getting to go back to that moment in our lives of war becoming real, and maybe reevaluating what that means to us and what do we do with that information, I think is really valuable. So it makes it not only a really entertaining piece of art, but also, I wouldn't even say something to think about, an experience.
Mm-hmm. I think what we pinged before about active and passive listenability, it's entertaining on its own.
Yeah.
Like it accomplishes the entertaining aspect of it. I think even visually, sonically, and cinematographically,
Mm-hmm.
like, but if you just give it some of your attention, it will guide you through what it's trying to tell you. And that alone, I think, is a important part of it. Like, it's the important, like, kind of bed to, like, put everything else on. Maybe, I don't know if I'm not sure if I've created this perfect analogous structure of entertainment, of like academic points and like just pure entertainment of like where that sits. But yeah, I think it's important to have that character kind of start us through the story, to like connect us to what's going on.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that in the play it comes through, like you said, like halfway through the play.
Just young Lucius, diegetic Lucius.
Oh, I see. So that little boy is written in as part of the beginning, but it's
No,
not.
he's not. He just shows up as young Lucius. Like, the part that's in the play is young Lucius, who shows up in Act 4 or 5.
Oh.
Everything in the beginning was put in by Julie Taymor, and I think it was brilliant.
Wow. Then I wholeheartedly am impressed and agree with the choice.
Yeah.
To start us with the person that the play's supposed to end, that the play ends with. Like,
yeah.
I
mean, it's not necessarily supposed to end with him either, or to end with him and Aaron's son, but it definitely, like, the fact that he's introduced so late means that we are supposed to kind of look to him at the end, and we are supposed to have an interest in him at the end.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so funny. I struggle with...
To play that out is smart.
I agree. And I struggle with conceiving of my idealistic version of storytelling as fundamental, as opposed to what I've been sensitized to enjoy.
Yeah.
So, like, I try to fight against that sometimes, but, like, at a certain level, like, that's... I understand what I understand, and I try to... And I'm open to reaching beyond that, but, like, just fucking clarity, man. I feel like clarity is a great...
tool.
I don't know, like, it might seem superficial to, like, make things clear, or sometimes, like, if I feel like it's very an artistic as a musician sometimes, like, to obfuscate your intention behind a song so it seems more deep might seem like the way to go to make it seem layered, as opposed to just plainly saying what the hell you're trying to say.
Yeah.
And as a viewer, as a consumer of a lot of art, I tend to appreciate the ones more that say what they mean plainly and get to a more complicated point.
Yeah.
As opposed to complicatedly saying a simple point.
Right.
And I think I've heard somebody say that. I might have been like Einstein who said, like, the mark of genius is making complicated stuff simple as opposed to making simple stuff complicated. And, like, in retrospect and, like, you know, intellectually, it's easy to see how that is the truth. But that's how you, like, weed out the artists who actually have something to say.
Right.
And the ones that don't. Like me. Like, I understand that impulse. And, like, poetry sometimes I feel like is also bogged down in that. Where people, like, have these weird, complicated things that they're saying, as opposed to just, like, sometimes when you're trying to make a simple point, but a simple point that's big and deep, it takes a lot of dialogue to get there. And you are speaking as plainly as you possibly can. But I found myself speaking poetically, trying to get to a fundamental, simple point. And I think when I see Shakespeare done well, that's what I'm watching.
Yeah.
Like the whole speech that Anthony Hopkins makes about, like, if the winds rage, will the sea not swell?
Right.
Like that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah.
He's making a simple point. It just takes a lot of analogy to make it hit home for you.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like is the value of poetic speaking.
Yeah, even the play itself.
For me, anyway.
Even the play itself is an analogy to make it hit home for you if you take a step back, which is also really interesting.
But yeah, I think we've mined is, like, pretty much what we have to say about it. Like, we are floored with the quality of this movie.
Floored.
And the just knocked it out of the park. We were both emotionally wrecked when it was over.
Yeah. I've always thought that this was an underrated Shakespeare play, but I think this is one of the best productions of Shakespeare I've ever seen. Maybe the best. And I think...
And that Taming of the Shrew was a fucking high bar.
It was amazing. and it's different, too. It's a different beast than Taming of the Shrew. But I feel... Man, I don't know. People always talk about, like, hearing a song and feeling like someone wrote this song for me. Someone wrote this song because they understand me. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that about this movie.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
I feel like that about this movie. He wrote it for me.
I know.
Fuck you.
That's
He
why
wrote
it's
it for
good.
me.
Fuck you. He wrote it for me. God.
All right. Well, until next time, I'm Paul Stafford.
And I'm Chloe Baldwin, and I hope the gap just got a whole hell of a lot smaller.
I've done 1,000 dreadful things as willingly as one would kill a fly. And nothing grieves me heartily indeed, but that I cannot do 10,000 more.
Thanks for listening to Shakeshero. You can check out our website and email us your suggestions at shakeshero.com, or you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at the handle Shakeshero. We're on Spotify and Apple Music, so please review, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode.